Cool. All right, and we're up. And man, the I almost wish that we weren't doing video chat though, because I'm like, I want to see the famous Star Fox animation on the Discord. I'm like, this is
I
cool.
paid I paid $50 a year for it to animate when I'm talking.
I mean, that's well worth it.
Now, I didn't buy Turbo so I can send larger files. I literally paid so my stupid GIF can animate.
I mean, that's money. That's money well spent in my book. So,
Yep.
you know, let's see. We've already got somebody in the chat making the Nimbus joke, which is good, because that's, I'm gonna bring that up in a little bit. But I guess kind of while some people are coming in, I don't think that this will be like super necessary, but just in case my grandma is watching this or something like that, if you want to introduce yourself, tell a little bit about yourself, your dating profile, whatever the heck works for you.
I am probably one of the most loudest human beings you'll ever find. Actually, Kate, let me talk about that real fast.
All right.
It's funny. I was reading some critique the other day about my channel, and one of the things that I saw was like people like, "Oh, he's just loud for the videos. He just does that because like it's like the YouTuber voice." But people don't realize this is just literally me 24/7, and I'm just loud. This is just how I always am. This is my normal voice.
Yeah, like I feel like people don't put that on for YouTube anymore. Like back in the day, I feel like that was the thing to do, was like be like as loud and crazy as possible. But now it's almost the opposite. It's like, probably wish you could you could control it if you could.
Honestly, that I might have become louder off of that. I know living with people like Danny, shout out to Jay and Tassie, he'll tell you that I've always been loud. But I feel like partially always just, I've uploaded and made videos daily for the past 7 years. I feel like maybe some of that, initial start into YouTube did kind of translate into becoming who I am, and which is just always being loud and stuff. But like, look at that. I wonder if me being a YouTuber did affect just how I usually talk. How I'm always in my like YouTuber voice. But like, this is my normal voice.
I mean, I think so. Like, I'm sure it made you like a better public speaker or whatever. Like, no doubt.
Yeah. Well, before I did YouTube, I did used to have a podcast like back in college. I was a podcaster before it was cool. No, but I had a podcast that I just did back in like 2007. It's like forever ago. And it was just like a fun thing to do. So before I even became a YouTube, because like the first time you make a YouTube video, which I know you're an OG, so you know what I'm talking about. The very first time you make a video, you're just like, all right, guys, so today we're gonna be making this video, playing some Dragon Ball Raging Blast, and yeah, man, this is so cool. Like you're all normal and calm.
Yeah.
But I guess because I've always had the experience of like yelling into a microphone, I think the first time I made a video, I was already kind of like that. Granted, if you will look at my older videos, I'm still kind of like figuring it out. I'm kind of like awkward and calm, but you can still hear like the loudest that became who I am today. Like you can kind of see like the development, like the character development.
Oh yeah, like 100%. And there's like what you said back when I like very, 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 very first started doing YouTube, like the first go around, like years ago. Yeah, it was exactly like that. It's like, hey, whatever. But then like the videos where I thought that I was like, quote unquote, like being myself and stuff, I watched those back, like kind of, I'm thinking like 2012, 2013 era StormPow, like, and I was expecting me to be like way more, but even then I was like, damn, like, put your chest out, boy. Like, have some confidence and stuff. I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. It's different. But, and there's a difference too between just like being loud and being confident. And I feel like you develop that, like that's like master level,
Yeah, for me, it's definitely both of those. It's just the confidence factor like melds with the loudness. Not saying loudness equates to confidence. It's just I don't know. How I've always just talked.
Yeah.
I mean, again, when you sit there and make videos daily for 7 years straight, it becomes part of who you are, and it's kind of like a good and bad thing, because sometimes I'll be sitting there, like for example, earlier I was waiting to record a video with C-Reacts, and he was editing his video, and the whole time I'm thinking like, man, I'm wasting time. I should be recording right now. I should be like doing something of my own. It's like you're always just in like this working on videos mentality. And you just never shut off. That's something that I can't figure out how to balance out, being this deep in the game.
Yeah.
You're always thinking like you have free time and you're thinking like, should I be happy I have this free time? I feel kind of guilty. It's weird. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah. No, like kind of in the same vein of just like thinking of like YouTube stuff outside of like actually actively like sitting down and working on YouTube stuff. I got this buddy that I know like in real life, and we sometimes we'll be like at places and like certain things will happen to us, and he doesn't do YouTube, but he knows I do, so he'll like I'll tell him a simple story and he like YouTube titleifies it for me. So I'll be like, oh yeah, like I was like in line at the, Taco Bell and this lady like gets in front of me and everything. And, it was like, what the hell, lady? And he's like, woman disrespects me in public, parentheses, watch what I do next, And I'm like, man, you should do YouTube. You're a natural,
He should.
Yeah, like that's awesome, man. I'm gonna make him my script writer or something one day,
Mhm.
But yeah, no, the main thing that I wanted to kind of talk with you about today, like I know I was telling you about it, wanted to kind of recap on the battle game hour and just kind of like in general, like the status, kind of touch over a little bit of all the games, because like I told you, when I was thinking about like, all right, the battle game hour happened, because like this podcast is really supposed to be just like Dragon Ball in general, not even just the games. And so, but like obviously the battle game hour happened and that's huge. There's like so many different things to cover on it. I'm just like, man, literally like what do I do? And then I was like, freaking Rhyme, you are like literally in like all of the communities pretty much equally, really, So like, I don't know, you got your Legends tubers, your Dokkan tubers, and then you got some people who kind of dabble in all of them, but I'm like, you're pretty much like deeply rooted in all of them. So I was like, you gotta have me on.
I mean, that was always my goal, because like, starting out, and you might remember this back in the day, like starting out back in the Dragon Ball community era, like everyone was just kind of doing one thing, like I remember Thundershot used to just do like discussions with Kwame and Black and Fist. You had Unreal NT Gaming, who would do like the theories and the what ifs. You had DBZ Anta, who would just do the gameplays. And I remember the very first time I made a Dragon Ball video, I was like, why is there someone that does everything? And like, I always loved Dragon Ball so much. I just want to be involved in everything. So that was almost my goal. Is like, I want to do a little bit of everything. That's why I'm always like, whenever people are like, oh, that's the Dokkan guy, that's the Legends guy, that's the Xenoverse guy. I'm like, no. I mean, you might know me from that, but I literally have always had a focus of doing everything. I mean, back for like the first 4 years of YouTube, I used to do 2 videos a day specifically to cover like, multiple grounds. I remember for a long period of time, I would do like a gameplay video and a discussion video on the same day. Then that turned into, I would do a Xenoverse video daily along with like a Dokkan video daily. And then Legends came out, and I was kind of doing, what I switched to doing one a day, because it got to the point where I realized I was just doing too much and I was like burning myself out. Yeah. But like my goal has always been to do like, play anything in the Dragon Ball realm, because the beauty of our community is we have a lot of stuff to do. When I first started YouTube, my first like introduction was Call of Duty, and I remember thinking like, man, can you imagine just playing only Call of Duty every single day for years and years to come? I mean, granted, at the time, I'll play a lot of Call of Duty. I love playing the Modern Warfare series, but thinking about only just playing one game over and over again was just like, I would rather not. But then when I decided I wanted to do Dragon Ball content on YouTube, I realized, well, the beauty of it is we have a different game every single year. It's always a different experience. Sometimes it can be good, sometimes it can be bad, but you always get something different. And that's something I always liked about Dragon Ball games. It's like there's just so much within our realm. That's why I love the current period of Dragon Ball gaming in general. You have Kakarot that covers kind of like the chill, laid back gameplay action RPG. As bonus as it is, it's still a pretty fun game. Then you got the mobile games. If you want to just not pay attention and just kind of watch stuff in the background, you can play Dokkan. Or if you want to play something more fun, you can play like Legends that's actually more gameplay based. Or if you really want to like sweat, you can play something like FighterZ, or you can kind of sit back and chill and play Xenoverse. Like we have everything here, and that's dope. To me, this is dope.
Yeah, no, and like I used to say that about like the Pokemon community, like, oh, Pokemon would be cool to make content of, because like you said, there's always new stuff to do. It's not, but they're a little bit more rinse and repeat generally than like your Dragon Ball stuff is, because like you never know what kind of Dragon Ball game you're gonna get this year,
Yeah. Like, which is a gift and a curse. I mean, again, you can get that one game, because I mean, I started doing Dragon Ball content when Battle Z was the game, and I remember Battle Z I was hyped for. I thought it was going to be like a game changer, because we had just left the Ultimate Tenkaichi era, where I thought Ultimate Tenkaichi was a terrible game. It was an awful game. And I know you play a lot of that, with was it Potato?
Powtato.
Powtato. But like, it was not a fun game. And I thought like Battle Z was going to be a game changer, because for the first time in like 2 years, we have a game that you actually play. And it turns out it was just too simplified. And then they gave us Xenoverse. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I actually never ever played Battle Z, and I have no intention of like doing so.
You didn't miss much.
Yeah, that's
Battle Z was fun for like the first 3 months.
Because I remember watching the gameplay too, and that was right when I made my exit from YouTube for that time, and I was kind of like in the back of my head, I was like, damn, like this game might be kind of hype, because I was getting like burnout on like Raging Blast and all that stuff, and all that.
Mhm.
But and I mean, at least it was very different. I feel like at least from the gameplay and screenshots, even if it maybe ended up being boring in the end.
Yep.
But yeah, no, that was right when I left. And then, Xenoverse, I remember playing this was not while I was doing YouTube. This was in between, my times and everything. But I was like, this is actually a pretty solid game. This is fun,
Yeah.
but
I mean, our standards are very low. We just came from
yeah.
the Ultimate Tenkaichi and Battle of Z, so like they could have given us anything would have been good.
Yeah.
And that's why I like Xenoverse 2. Xenoverse 2 took everything that was wrong with Xenoverse 1, and even though that game came out way too soon after the release of the first game, that game was it.
Mm-hmm.
I still think if you take the Xenoverse recipe blueprint, you can make the perfect Dragon Ball game out of it that makes everybody happy. Because like the thing about Xenoverse that people don't realize, they don't actually like play it like that.
Yeah.
There was a lot of depth to it. The only problem with Xenoverse is there was a lot of cheese. You have to deal with the netcode, which is just god awful. There was a lot of desync issues online, and of course, if you want to just be that guy, you can just make a character that just one shots, and it's like, I mean, there's freedom in doing that stuff, and sometimes it feels good being able to just body that character that can one shot you without having to sweat as much.
Yeah.
But Xenoverse did everything right. Again, it was just flawed with how the netcode was, and if they ever like were to do a sequel and actually perfect the netcode and make it actually playable, it would be like the perfect Dragon Ball game.
Yeah. No, I agree. Xenoverse it gets flack, but like it's so hard. I get asked a lot, what's your favorite Dragon Ball game? And I'm just like, I genuinely don't know. Because like they're all so different,
Yeah.
It just depends on what mood I'm in that day or what I feel like playing,
Mm-hmm.
But before we get too much into like talking about the battle hour itself, let me see here. Let me see if I can't get this thing pulled up over here. Let's see. Okay, I was going to talk about an even bigger event that took place, which was this decimation that you handed me the other day. This was bigger of an event than any of the battle hour at all. That I think we could have had 12 hours of this.
The funny thing about that is I wish you would have just seen. I saw your stream pulled up. I'm like, you know what? I'm about to invade him. I saw you doing like viewer battles. I'm like, let me just sneak in. And I got in once. And I remember it loaded in, and then it did the gray screen, the gray screen bug thing that's been like in the game for like the past year. And it kicked me out. I was like, damn it. Because what I wanted to do is I wanted to hop in. I wanted to just kind of like body you real fast and be like, GG's in the chat.
And I'm like, oh man, yeah. I'm like talking shit. I'm like, oh man, who is this whale over here? Look at him.
Yeah, it would have been hilarious. But of course, this is such a great game when it wants to not work. So yeah.
I was like, come on, man. But yeah, no, I was watching this back and I was just like, good God, the pure and utter decimation. Because I remember I had talked to you a while back about like us doing a PvP video, and now I'm like, no, that's it. I'm like, I knew you would win, but God dang, I was like, this is brutal. I'm like, I'm gonna need you to start a brand new account on like some burner phone, and then you have a week to get ready, and then we'll go for it.
I could try.
I'm like, I'm gonna need something like that, but
I apologize having to abuse Paralyze, but it's funny, like I don't know if you were around for like the OG days of Legends, but like when Legends first came out, the thing that we hated the most was Feint. Feint was like the most broken thing in the game. It's like you get feinted, it's just like, all right, let me just put my phone down. You lose a character. Like that's just what it is. But no one really talked about Paralyze like that, except for me and D Free. And then obviously Paralyze became more of a thing over the course of the last like I guess 1,000 days. And Paralyze is just busted. Like you can do stuff like that Hero Hercule. His main ability literally it triggers. I don't know if it's his main ability or his unique ability, but when he pops in, it paralyzes the entire team on the other side, and it's annoying because like unless you have immunity, like you're getting bodied by Hero Hercule when that kicks in. It's just so annoying.
It's like they 100% did that just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing.
Let's make the weakest looking character of all time, Hero Hercule, and then just let him body whoever the hell he wants. Jesus. So there was one thing that did happen, which actually, first of all, I was going to ask you, I was like, since you were like in the battle hour to an extent, which those, the legend stuff that was that live or was that pre-recorded?
We recorded that back in January. And honestly, like, so they reached out to me a couple months ago and they had pitched the idea that they wanted to shoot something. I honestly thought it was just gonna be like a video and stuff, which we've done a couple times. and usually the video stuff is pre-recorded like months ahead. And I had no idea what it was until the day of recording. Because what happened is the day before they sent me the itinerary or like that schedule, and I'm like, they're being kind of extra doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I read it and I'm like, oh, this is going to be like a thing. Cool. And it literally said we'll start recording at 7 p.m. We should be done by 9. 2 nights. First night we started at 7 and ended at like 3 in the morning. I'm like, man,
Jesus Christ.
Went on. The next night was even worse. We started at 7 and finished at 5 a.m. And I remember thinking, I'm like, fuck, that was long. And like the thing is, because it happened so suddenly, and again, I'm like, I'm always like the spur of the moment. It didn't really hit me what we were doing until like I remember the battle hour was a thing. And I remember going into like the like a couple weeks before, I was like, I wonder if this is gonna be what we recorded, what this was for. And that's when they actually announced it.
God,
but it was dope seeing something like that, because like I've seen a lot of stuff in this community for like the past 7 years, 6 years, and I want to see more of this. And what people don't realize is like, for as long as we existed, and I know you probably might have dealt with these issues back in the day, when it comes down to doing anything anime related, Japan never really liked us existing, if that makes sense. The way Japan always saw us is like, oh, they're taking our IP and they're using it, it's disrespectful. So like a couple years ago, even being in the same room with like staff from like Bandai Japan was like a no. Like they would see us and be like, oh yeah, just don't talk to us. And we got to the point where we now developed like a relationship as content creators with Bandai Japan, where the point, I flew out 2 years ago and I did the first video and stuff with them. And that was like the first time where Bandai Japan did anything with the drama content creator. And that to me was dope, because that took years in the making. And like,
yeah,
I know the big question that people always have is like, when are more content creators going to be in these videos and stuff? And honestly, it's just one of those things where we have to show like the higher ups, like, yo, this is cool. Because like the higher ups are still like, I don't know, man, they're using our IP with our permission, but like we don't really like that. But at the same time, like Bandai knows they're like, yo, this is cool. Like these guys make videos on this stuff, and it drives sales. End of the day, it does. Like for us, it's all about just playing the games, but for them, they do drive up sales. I feel like part of the reason why Xenoverse was so successful, outside the fact that it was the first good Dragon Ball game in a long time, was because there was a whole YouTube community behind it. And that's one reason why people still play it. What people don't realize is the joke is Xenoverse is a dead game. Why do they keep releasing DLC? Xenoverse still has 1 million+ players.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. There's a lot of people who are still playing the hell out of this game. That's why they're releasing DLC. And like it's crazy to know that this game that came out 2015 is still this heavily played. It just is. People might not play it as much because like you might have gone through your phase of just playing the hell out of a game and you're kind of like bored of it, and then you're kind of like, oh, it's a dead game, but you don't realize that there's still a lot of players behind it. So again, getting to the point where we're now working with Bandai Japan is just like, it's just this big deal. And like the thing that was up on the battle hour, they finally brought more people outside of just me and Kagi. The reason why they bring Kagi is because he is the voice of Charlotte. So right. I'm like the only YouTuber they've done stuff with. And what they did this time is they brought a Japanese YouTuber, which I think they worked with them before, if I remember correctly. And then they brought back the people that did the Vegas showdown back in the first year of the game. But to the people who were like bring more people to video stuff, it's like it's in the works. It's just one of those things that they have to show the higher ups, like, yo, this is cool. They're not gonna like leak stuff. They're not gonna like take all these secrets and just like leak it. Like it's kind of like an earning trust thing. And right now, it's like the reason why I'm always part of all this stuff is because I guess they know I'm not gonna like see stuff. I mean, I knew about LF Rose for like 3 months now, and I obviously didn't leak.
That's true. Yeah.
So just baby steps to get to the point where more YouTubers and more cool things will work like this. That's why I'm like excited to see what's gonna happen in the future, because this even though as massive as it was like a test. This is like a first, and like seeing that develop, maybe being an annual thing will be kind of dope.
Yeah. And way back in the day, a lot of game companies, and by a lot I mean pretty much all of them, were like that with like YouTube content. You could not make any money. Like you could not join the YouTube partnership program, no matter what kind of views you were pulling, if you were doing gameplay, because it was not monetizable. That's where like your Machinima and Yaush and all them came in, because like they were like the only people.
That's a name that I haven't heard in a long time.
and when you hear Machinima, it's not in a good context usually these days. So it's like, but yeah. So I mean that's how it was. I mean, it makes sense, and yeah, especially I didn't even think about that. Like you said, with that not being live, like yeah, you've known about Rose for like 3 months. So yeah, I mean, they definitely don't want to just be throwing that out for anybody because that was like
Mhm.
their big reveal at this event, you know, and then that could have been just completely tanked.
Mhm.
So, and especially as prevalent as leaks are anyway with like V jump stuff and all that, like they don't want to be just making it too easy or anything. So that makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, it's definitely a win-win, and I'm glad that they like kind of realize that because it's like, you know, content creators, we can build an audience and everything off of that. And then also
Mhm.
I mean, like, especially with games like Xenoverse that I feel like were so different from like the previous Dragon Ball games, you know, like in how in-depth the character customization was and the combat and all that.
Yep.
There's a lot of people that just want to see what it looks like, what it like actually looks like when somebody's playing it, not just like
Mhm.
in a trailer, you know. So having like content creators really benefits. But if they were like
Yeah.
Pokemon releasing, you know, or Call of Duty, like you said, like releasing essentially the same game every year, maybe not as big of a need, but like with Dragon Ball, it's like, dude, there's a lot of curiosity to be had
Yeah.
sometimes with the new game. Like
Yeah.
when Kakarot came out, I was like, you know, off the trailers, I was like, this is cool, but I have no idea like how it's actually going to be in
Mhm.
execution, you know?
Yep.
Now there was one thing in the battle hour. I'm gonna play it here on the screen, and I'm kind of curious, like, how what did you think this was? And because this played at the very beginning and then they played it every now and then throughout it. And I think the second time that I saw them play it, it even had like a little bit longer than the first time. Like, because I saw this, right? And at first I was like, okay, I have no idea. But like, I don't know. I guess I'll say what I thought and go from there. But like
Okay. Are
by the
you playing on Discord?
no, my bad. I'm on the stream, the YouTube stream.
Oh, okay, okay, I see it. Oh, that.
Yeah. Like basically at first I was like, you know, of course everybody was like, "Oh my god, is this a yeah, new game, new game, new game?" But then like by, you know, then at the end it's just like Dragon Ball Battle Hour and it's just like, you know, this cool intro, but like in my head I'm like, I don't know, maybe this stuff is not that hard to make, but I'm just like this looked like a lot of effort for a intro to a 12-hour stream, you know? And I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe new game, but I even was like, animated movie? I don't know. I'm curious
Nah,
what you thought.
I saw this and I immediately just knew that they went all out because I mean, I after shooting the actual thing
Hmm.
and also hearing about them wanting to do the hour, I know that they went all out for it.
Yeah.
And I didn't see this and think, oh snap, new game. Because I mean, I think the main reason why is because it was animated to be more like an intro. But if it looked like a
Hmm.
game, they would have been like, oh, okay, hold on, wait a minute. But at the same time, knowing how companies announce stuff, they would never announce a game like that for to introduce. By the way, here's a new game drop. Let's talk about Battle Hour. It would have been like at the end. It would have been like a reveal like they did in closing ceremonies.
Because that's what I was thinking. I was like, wow, they really just are gonna drop the biggest thing of the whole night and then expect me to stay on here for 12 hours? No,
Yeah.
bro. Like, but yeah, I was going through a roller coaster of emotions, like the whole
Mhm.
thing, trying to figure out what that was. But
Yep.
man, I was hoping because like obviously at first I was like, it reminded me of like the Budokai Tenkaichi intros almost.
Yeah, that's
Just
the first thing that I thought about too.
you know, and I was like, Budokai Tenkaichi remake, Budokai Tenkaichi remake. Come on, come on. But I don't know, man. I think you're right. I think if they weren't going to like use that as a teaser and then give us the rest of it like by the end of that night, then
Mhm.
I think they just blue balls me, man.
Yeah, no, they definitely just put that together to go all out. That's why I'm like hoping that there is a big future with the series of Battle Hour. Like maybe do it like
Hmm.
once a year, every like March or something like that. It would be really dope. Because what I know about Japan is they just like to bring awareness to like the big IPs that I guess
Hmm.
are popular over there. I know the joke is always like, oh, they only care about money. That's not what it is, you know. And I actually said about video the other day, and people were like, no,
Yeah.
you're wrong. It's always about money. No, money is obviously a thing that comes when you run a business, but their big focus is always to put awareness to their brand. You know, they want to promote One Piece, they want to promote Dragon Ball, they want to promote Naruto, they want to promote these things that are like these big like impacts in the culture over there. And that's why they went all out for something like the Battle Hour.
Yeah.
And I can see this being like an annual thing as well because it does bring awareness. It brings the entire world together. One of the coolest thing to me is so everybody that did the actual Legends aspect of the Battle Hour, both the showcase and or like both the knowledge showdown
Hmm.
and the tournament, we were all in different countries. You know, you had Muten who was from France. I believe there were like two from Taiwan. There was
Hmm.
the Japanese players. There was me here. Every time when we talked, we had a translator in our ears who was directly translating what was happening. So the fact that we were literally just all talking like cross world to me was like the dopest thing. It's like, man, like we don't even like we all speak different languages, but at the same time we're all communicating right now, and that to me was just super cool.
That was really cool, and I remember, during the thing, I was wondering about that. I was kinda dang, I was like, I get, having somebody to translate, like, Toshi and the rest of the other, like,
Mhm.
Bandai Japan people, and, like, basically, like, I was like, I know the Japanese and America people, like, that was the most of it, but then I was like, yeah,
Mhm.
Mutin in France, and I was like, that did kinda click. I was like, "W they really, like, went all out to, make sure that, like, all
Mhm.
of that, not just, English and Japan, the 2 major ones, but, like, that
Yeah.
were being shown there." I was just like, "Holy crap." That
Yep.
was wild. But I was gonna talk about it later, but actually I think it's more fitting now because we're kind of touching on it. Yeah, because I watched your what if Dokkan was ending video and the also the lol dead game thing, and yeah, you made a good point because I never really thought about it. Admittedly, I'm normally one of those people who's like, oh yeah, as long as X game is making money, they'll keep supporting it. As soon as it's no longer profitable, it's gone. But like I never really thought about it, and with something like Dragon Ball, because I googled it one day out of curiosity, and Dragon Ball,
Mhm.
like as a franchise, I was like, where does it compare to like, your Mickey Mouse, your Hello Kitty and shit like that? It's in like the second tier. It's like,
Yeah, no, it prints.
yeah,
It prints. And that's why it's always funny to me when people are like, "Oh, they're doing X, Y, Z only for money." It's like they'll keep running Dokkan until it doesn't make money anymore. The thing is they can announce Dokkan 2 tomorrow, or they can announce the next Dragon Ball mobile game, and it's going to print. Like
hmm
it doesn't have to be just that one thing. It doesn't just have to be fighters. It doesn't have to be Xenoverse. They can announce the next big Dragon Ball IP tomorrow, and it's going to print money from there. That's why it's never about like milking a specific game as much as possible. It's literally just like, they can do whatever they want with the franchise and they're gonna make money out of it.
yeah, because it's like say like Hello Kitty and like fucking Mickey Mouse or like Z tier. Dragon Ball is like
Mhm.
S tier. It's like right below that. I forget
Yep.
exactly how Wikipedia. Obviously, Wikipedia didn't tier list it, but like it
Mhm.
was sorted out like kind of similarly. And it was a good point because I'm like they will like literally not let this brand or this franchise die for a long time because like
Yeah.
you said, yeah, I mean they could release anything and it will print. So it's like it's just it's kind of mind-blowing. I never really knew how big it was. I knew it was global and I knew it had this far reach, but like god dang.
Yep.
But so on that note though, because originally I know myself and a lot of other people, you'll probably have more thoughts on this because I don't really play Dokkan that much. Like I just kind of
Mhm.
every now and then hop on it, like if there's like a cool summon and I can like mess with it. But I've never really been like too into it. But so the whole Dokkan version Z thing, like I know that came up and people were kind of like, what is this? And I'm kind of curious, like, if there's any thoughts you have on what it might be or anything, because obviously version Z like alludes to end of the game, and I don't know if that's necessarily the case.
I mean, honestly, I'll be real with you. I have no clue what they're doing with it. One
hmm
of the theories that I've seen is have you ever seen like programming when you start with programming? You develop something, and then 5 years down the line, you're just like, why did they develop it like this? Why did they do this? And then you have to work backwards and fix what people did in the past so the future releases could work. The theory that some people have is they're trying to go back and fix in the code what was not possible today, but like they programmed it that specific way like years ago. So the theory is people they're trying to prepare code changes so they can do more, I guess, different and unique releases in the future. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, the thing is gotcha games, they don't last as long as Dokkan did. I mean, it's only like literally like a handful that are as old as Dokkan. I think like Dokkan, FGO, um, some of the OGs that I can't think of the top of the head are still around. But usually gotcha games, they don't last that long. They last like 3 or 4 years and then that's
hmm
it. And after that, it's like what happens is once they reach that point where either one, they're not making enough money to obviously sustain themselves, or they just run out of content. Like I know, for example, I'm not gonna say which game it is. I know one game that ended, not Naruto Blaze because that
Too
ended
soon.
recently. But this might be part of reasons why it did. I know a gotcha game that ended a couple years ago, and it was actually thriving. But the reason why they ended is because they literally just kind of ran out of content because the
hmm
series had ended, and then they were like, "All right, well, I guess we're done here because there's really not much we can do here." That's why
hmm
it's like a game like Dokkan has been around for 6+ years. It's like, all right, what's next? If they can't figure out what the next best thing is what do you do? Because like the big thing that Dokkan has done is if you've seen Dokkan originally, when it first came out, they would do like those sprite animations, the Kamehamehas and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And they were cool for what they were, but eventually those kind of got old. So then they stepped up the animations, and then they were doing a bunch of like fancy stuff. And then they got to the point where they were doing literally just basically scenes from the anime. And this is what I was trying to point out in my video. It's like, all right, what do you do when you've covered almost every single major scene? What do? You can't go back and redo the scene, like the animations of Goku on Namek. You can't go back and redo, scenes that happen in the Tournament of Power. Every single card that comes out in Dokkan is like a big scene that happened in the past, in Super or in the entirety of Dragon Ball Z. And at some point they're gonna run out. And what do you do then?
Yeah.
Like they gotta figure out how to do other stuff outside of that, because they're not gonna just basically try to redo the same scene again. Because knowing them, they want to be like unique and different. And at that point, it's gonna be like, all right, well, maybe we just end Dokkan and then do Dokkan 2 or like the next gotcha game, or maybe the focus is gonna be Legends. I don't know, but like, there's gonna be that point where they're going to want to they're gonna literally just run out of like animation ideas, and it's like, what do you do then? Do you just keep making it up? But then there's like a rule of how they can do these animations as well that they have to go through. There's just a lot in the air that they have to figure out. Now again, 3 years ago, I thought that they had done everything, and then they introduced stuff like the fusion mechanic, the transformation mechanics. Then they started introducing the literal anime cutscene animations. Like, I mean, they've proven me wrong before, so it's like, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, because that's an interesting point about like the coding. Yeah, they may just be, like you said, giving it like a modernization, doing things that they couldn't have done back when it first came out. I never really thought about that. Like, so it is really interesting, and it's like, yeah, they don't want to just do like reskins because you got to get people to be hype. I know it's not all about money, but at the same time, if you're gonna put money into developing it, you would like to have people have some incentive to want to pull and everything. But so yeah, and I know that they've added a lot, and it's like, it always comes up like PvP in Dokkan. I have no idea how that would even work. Honestly, I just don't even know if that's it.
It's scary, but it can be done. It absolutely can be done. The problem with Dokkan, I feel like, is they need to not take shortcuts. They introduced Chain Battle, which is supposed to be their version of co-op. And they used the word co-op before, but it's not.
Right.
Chain Battle literally is just you borrow the teams that people made and basically use their bots, I guess, in your team, and then you do this quick event that's not really that much fun. Like, they could develop a PvP or a co-op based mode that is going to be very, very enjoyable, and that's going to extend the lifespan of the game for a very, very long time. But if they do it wrong, they could, piss off their entire player base, because again, you're not going to want to come across somebody that has everything rainbow at 100%. You're going to lose. So they got to figure out how to balance that out while also making everybody happy. And the thing is end of the day, no matter which mobile game you're playing, you're not going to make everybody happy. You're going to have to sacrifice 1% of people, and that's just going to be a overall bad environment at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think in your video you mentioned like, you're just a regular dude, and then you run into like the truths of Dokkan and PvP, and it's like, what the hell? No, yeah, that's 100% right. And
people even complain about that in Legends. Like, if you get super high up, it's all like 14-star plus units, and not just that, but it's people that know how to really, really play the game. It's like, even with Legends, people see a big issue with it. And I think that's the reason why Zenkais have been such a big focus, because like, you've got the banners where people can summon on and then have a chance to pull a unit, but Zenkais are guaranteed. So it's like, I think like if you're more free to play, technically the most smartest thing to do would be to like Zenkai stuff, because you're guaranteed to Zenkai. You put 6,000 crystals into a Zenkai unit, guess what? You have a unit that's going to like mow down through PvP. You put 6,000 crystals into an LF banner, you're not going to get anything unless you get really, really lucky.
That's a good point.
So I think that's one of the reasons why they did that.
I used to say like, because whenever like I get a lot of comments, and I've been making like some kind of discussion videos about Legends lately, and like one that I uploaded like I think 2 days ago, it was about like, is Dragon Ball Legends pay to win and everything, and a lot of people say stuff like, oh yeah, I just summon on the Zenkai banners because like you said, and initially I was always like, well, nah, you should keep summoning on the new banner, because like all these units that are now getting Zenkai Awoken used to be new units at one point, which is true, but I mean, you're right. I have not pulled an LF since UI Goku, and I'm not even like free to play. Like, I do put some money into the game, I nothing crazy or whatever, but like, but I still, I don't know how much I dumped into Gogeta and Broly. Didn't pull either of them. Didn't pull Future Gohan, and I definitely put more than 6,000. But you're right, yeah, 6,000 could have got me a freaking beefed up Zenkai instead. Oh God,
Yeah.
I'm having buyer's remorse right now. I'm like, good God.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I
Oh.
see Caleb in the chat says Legends is pay to win. I disagree. The thing is you can put as much money as possible into the game. You're still gonna lose. I
Mhm.
think the core issue with Legends is a lot of people don't quite, number one, either have decent enough teams to go online yet, or they don't really know how to team build. Like, I can't tell you. Granted, I only hang out around like the between a 40 to 50 range. I don't play that much. I know if I play too much of Legends, I'm just gonna delete the game. I'm a
Yeah.
very, very casual hardcore player, if that makes sense as a phrase. And I can't tell you how many times I run into people that just don't know how to team build. And it's not to knock them that they can't build teams. I just don't think that they have all these correct units. That's why they've been releasing so many of these free banners, like these guaranteed spark and summons that happen like every 3 days, or like the weekend 50% rate summons. They've done that specifically so people have an easier time building teams. And also they had that added that change to story mode, where if you beat story mode, you get an all say in team, so you can just be ready for PvP.
Mhm.
So when you don't have a proper team, you get hit like a tank, and
Yeah.
you do no damage back. That's the thing. And granted, yes, obviously, if you know how to somewhat play the game and you put more crystals in, and you actually get higher rated units, in a way, you could say it is pay to win. But the problem is, a lot of times people don't necessarily know how to fully play, and therefore, it's not necessarily pay to win. Because I mean, I've seen people with beefed out 14-star teams not win. I've also run into units. I've also run into units where I'm running my wailed out squad, and I've lost to 2 to 3-star units just because I got outplayed. Like, end of the day, skill does end up, being the big factor that causes someone to win at the end of the day. However, I will say this: if there are two somewhat equally challenged or equally leveled players, the person that has more stars is going to win at the end of the day, because they did that extra bit of damage. They took less damage. Like that does help. That does
Mhm.
help.
No, and that's a good point, because like, it is kind of a tricky subject, because it's like pay to win does normally imply that like if like you have a guaranteed win, and you don't.
Mhm.
Um, I know that the reason why a lot of people call it pay to win is Zenkais, and it is a little bit
But
like
that's the
busted, but
irony. Zenkais are the least pay to win aspects or pay to play aspect versions of the game. Because so I don't know if you guys know, but I think they do it on the Reddit, where they keep track of how many crystals the game gives out every single month. And
mhm.
for the last like year, it's been like 10,000 to like 16,000 every single month. That's if you do everything. If you do
Okay.
somewhat stuff, you'll get about 10K ish. That's a free Zenkai. That's a free Zenkai. The thing is people usually save those for the banners, and then they pull nothing. And then it's like, well, I got nothing else for the Zenkais. And I also see that, someone said that Zenkais are one-sided. They're not. You know what's one-sided? Gohan, Android 18. Those were one-sided. And those units will forever taint the word of Zenkai to Dragon Ball Legends. Because, like, when you come across those units, they just make your health melt away. But everything about it, every Zenkai that's come out since has been pretty balanced.
Yeah.
Purple Broly just came out, and I see people complain that he's not good. I'm like, no, he's good. He's
It's
just
like
not Android 18. He's not, he's not broken. It's like people get mad when Zenkais are broken, but then they get mad when Zenkais aren't broken. It's like, what do you want?
right. That I was about to say that. Yeah, it's like freaking yellow Super Saiyan God Vegeta when he came out. Like and he completely overshadowed, in a way. I mean, I guess it could be debated or whatever, but he, in most people's eyes, overshadowed LF Gogeta that had just come out and
Well,
was a yellow God Key unit.
he only overshadowed Gogeta because the word Zenkai, again, is tied to units like Gohan and 18. You hear Zenkai, you think, yep, that's going to be broken. I don't care about the new unit that came out. When in all reality, the reason why they did it is because they knew that could buff Gogeta, and that would work with him because you could put him on bench.
Yeah.
That's why they did it.
Yeah,
It's
like
like I think I Zenkai that Vegeta just for the bench support, but I didn't do the actual annoying aspect of Zenkai, which was to get the souls and actually like level the unit up.
that's how I like using Zenkais, is on the bench, honestly. Just, like I find a good unit. Like the team that I played with you against, you wouldn't know it by watching our video, but it was my like best team. And it's because I've got like it's some blue Saiyan Zenkai. I forget even
Mhm.
who. Yeah, I had like basically a Zenkai for each one of the core, to line up and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And like normally that team is like pretty, and that's how I like using Zenkai. Now, if you can double it up and just go full, obnoxiousness and have Zenkais in your core as well, then I mean that's cool. But
Which was another way the game was tainted because, when they were releasing Zenkai's back to back to back, they released all those Sun Family ones. And you could literally build a busted Sun Family Zenkai team that was just so annoying to play against.
mhm.
See, I think like they were an issue. So when Vegito came out for the anniversary last year,
mhm.
I think that absolutely broke the game. Like that car was just way too. It was just way too like fun, not fun to use and to fight against, because basically when it started a combo, either you can tag out and die to a rising rush, or you just let them keep comboing you and then you just die. Like, what do you do? And then if you lose a unit, you're not gonna win a match. Like getting that 1v3 comeback is gonna be rough. So they changed the entire battle system around recently, back in like what, October, and I thought that was a good change. You know, they allowed you to change cover multiple times. They also allowed you to they like fixed rising rush, so it wasn't like a complete deciding factor if you like miss it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I think they did that really, really well. So that's why they're probably like, all right, what do we do with Gogeta to not annoy anybody? Because if they had dropped a really, really broken Gogeta on the level that Vegito was, I feel like people would have been more upset than happy. But what they also didn't really think about is the main reason why Vegito became more bearable is the new battle system change. So had they done something that was like, even if he had draw speed up, I don't think it would have been that bad. So they definitely kind of dropped the ball, making Gogeta to be as decent as he could have been at launch.
Yeah. No, and while we're on the topic of Legends, what was and I mean technically, you know, people can find your reaction to this. What are your thoughts on, you know, what was revealed at the Battle Game Hour for Legends, like as far as LF Rose, you know, Trunks, Mai, you know, and just kind of the current status that they like, because the Q&A I thought was pretty interesting too.
So I'm a fucking dumbass, basically. So they dropped the Mayan Trunks, and I remember watching them like, oh, this is cool, it's cute, I like that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they asked the question like, oh, whose is this? And at no point did it dawn to me like, oh, they're about to hint at the next LF. The entire time I'm thinking like, this is a weird question. Maybe it's like a bonus question. And then they were like, and then I see Rose. I'm like, oh, nice. They really see a new Rose. And again, at no point did I realize that this is an LF until I saw him stabbing his hand and pulling out the side. I'm like, oh! And that's literally when I go, oh. I'm like, that's an LF.
Yeah. Dude, well, you think you're a dumbass, okay? So in my reaction video to this, I was sitting there watching and they show the purple Kamehameha. Now, granted, I've been streaming for like 10 hours, so my brain was not like in optimal condition, you know?
Yeah.
But I just
same, because I mean, I had technically been shooting that for like 10 hours that night, so I was already kind of like,
that's right. And the people in Japan, they were like, that was like probably what, like 5 or 6 in the evening for them. They're about to go home.
Yeah, it was probably super late for me. I know it was 5 in the morning. It was 5 in the morning when they basically showed that off.
Yeah, they're over there like calling their wives. Oh yeah, I'm headed home from work. You know, I'm gonna go pick up some dinner, and then you're over there like, Jesus Christ, it's 5 in the morning.
Yeah, they were messaging you like, hey, are you okay? Just want to make sure, you know, it's very late. Yeah, I'm fine.
It's all good, bro. But no, I said that I thought it was Raditz just because I saw like purple and I was like, double Sunday. And then people have been roasting me. They're like, what the fuck, man? Raditz never knew Kamehameha. What? And I'm like,
yeah, no, some people try to roast me like, how did you know that was Rose? I'm like, my answer was dope. My answer was Mira. If you played Xenoverse, they had the same color beam.
Yeah.
Because I even explained, oh, I thought it was Mira because, you know, Dims made Xenoverse and Dims does Legends. So I'm like, oh, snap, they're bringing Mira into the game? And again, I should have put 2 and 2 together. Granted, again, it was 5 in the morning. I should have realized, oh, yeah, Rose. They just showed Mayan Trunks. So clearly that's going to be Rose. But again, I was just too early in the morning. I just couldn't really think like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, we were all there. Nobody knew. No, the trivia was cool. That was really fun, like to go along with live and everything. But, so yeah, no, I'm hyped for those. And honestly, like, I think the game, one thing that Legends could use to kind of keep it fresh, I think, is more assist units, just because like that allows for a lot more creativity. You know, there's only so many times you can do Trunks, but like you throw Trunks with Mai, you know, I don't know, Trunks with Vegeta, like just a lot.
I think they're definitely cool. You know, they introduced Broly and Chilai like back like a year ago, and I remember thinking like, oh, that's cool. And then they haven't really capitalized on doing dual units yet. I mean, I don't think there's been anything that's been. The one that made the most sense was, I believe, if I remember correctly, didn't Great Saiyaman have a duo? I'm waiting for them to do one that's like Goku Black and like Zamasu, maybe like Goku and Vegeta. Like those would be the crazy one. Maybe Beerus and Whis, those will be fire. But it's funny, like you just said of like how to refresh the game. I literally just got done recording a video, kind of talking about my issues with the game, and you'll see this in the video tomorrow. It's like a 16-minute video. My problem right now is I feel like Zenkai completely makes the game boring on a weekly basis. Because the way their current setup is they drop a Zenkai banner, LF, Zenkai banner, LF. Like the reason why I do monthly LFs is probably because like they're trying to keep the game refreshing and bring in new players with these flashy units. And really, this is what they want you to summon for. But in between, they want to give you like the filler banners, which are the Zenkai releases, which will cater to like the people that like those tags of those characters. And then they'll have like those in between banners like Demon King Piccolo, Varus and Champa and stuff like that. That kind of like whatever. I feel like this current method that they're going for is just boring. Because like right now, I'm like, they dropped LF Goku last week, the Zenkai. I did a video on that, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm done with this. There's really nothing you can do here. And then they dropped Purple Broly this week, and I'm like, all right, I'm not going to do that. Don't care about Zenkais. I guess I'm back to waiting. So they're probably going to drop the Rose next week, and I'm going to play the fuck out of this game for a week and a half. And then what do I do? Wait until the anniversary, wait until middle of April for the next LF? Because, like, that's my problem with Zenkais. They take away the fun of the game. Number one, a lot of times they are going to overshadow the newer units. And the reason why is because they're all old units. For me, almost every single card at Zenkais, I have it 14 stars because I've been playing the game for 1,000 days. So I know if I Zenkai that card, it's going to be destroying whatever I pull to 4 or 5 or 6 stars next week. And people already forgot about Kid Buu. Kid Buu was cool, but they already forgot about him because, like, they dropped Kid Buu and then they literally Zenkai the thing that murders Kid Buu. Like, you basically made Kid Buu unplayable basically the next week. So that's why I feel like Zenkais, they take away the fun. I did not like the fact that they were dropping so many banners back in year one. I don't know if you were there for that, but they were at a point where every single week was a new banner. And I remember we all memed them for it. And then they realized, okay, well, people don't like that, so let's fix that. And their solution was, all right, we'll drop a banner, Zenkai banner, Zenkai banner, Zenkai. That's going to balance it out. But in all reality, that just meant less units, which makes the game, I guess, stale every like 2 weeks. And we're in that period. But again, when Rose drops, he's going to be great. Or he might suck. If he sucks, well, then I guess I'll see you in a month. But like, when a new unit comes out, it's so much fun to play with them, depending on what they release. Obviously they dropped Yamcha and Launch back a couple weeks ago, and I mean, as much as I like Launch, I didn't really care for that. I don't even think I summoned that banner. I think I single summoned Launch and then never even tried to get Yamcha. And then they dropped the Demon King Piccolo and the Broly. I don't care about that Broly. He sucks. He's definitely, I've never really cared for Broly. Maybe if I was a Broly fan, I might use that card more, but the card sucks and just wasn't that great. Demon King Piccolo was fantastic. I thought it was cool, all the things to do with it. But I also just don't really feel like running Region right now. And so like I think for me, it's like if they drop a new Lineage of Evil card, or if they were to Zenkai LF Freeze, I'm gonna be all for it and play that for the next couple weeks. But like right now, it's like a stale period in the game where every single time they don't drop a new unit or new banner, it's like, well, let's just see what they do next week and the next week and next week. Because you can't drop hype units every single time. You're going to burn out in the game. You're going to burn out what you can release. So that's why they want to plan out what they do for the specific celebrations, for their anniversaries and stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm guilty of it. Like, because I know, I forget what it even was. It was like the fall festival. They had all these hype units, LF, Goku, and Gogeta, Broly, all this stuff. And it was just like nonstop. And I'm like, man, the game is so much fun right now. Like, but then like towards the end of it, I was kind of like, all right, guys, you guys need to chill. Like, as somebody who does not like have the ability to dump like hundreds and hundreds of dollars in this game, I'm like, man, I can only take so many LFs. But then the minute they stopped, I was like, oh, the game kind of sucks. It's really dry.
That's the funny thing. Like, the message we sent across was like, yo, for the love of God, stop dropping so many LFs. And the irony to me is like Dokkan drops like 2 LRs a month. 2.
Yeah.
We're getting 1 LF in this game. 1 LF a month. It's not that they shouldn't do monthly LFs. They should just alleviate the process of getting an LF, If you remember, the very first LF banner featured a 20% rate on LFs. Granted, LFs were only obtainable through tickets, which they should obviously never do. But instead of telling them to stop doing monthly LFs, we should be telling them, hey, make LF rates make sense.
I almost spit my drink out when you said 20% because I was not around for that.
Well, no, it sounds good, but it's not. People will say, you remember when they used to have 20% banners? What you would have to first do is you would have to go through a whole step-up process, which was like, I think at the time was like 7 steps. Then you would get a ticket. You would get a single ticket. And then you can summon one single time on the banner and hope that it's the LF.
Oh, and it's a single summon?
So it's a single summon. So people will say, oh, remember when it used to be 20%? No. They weren't 20%. You have to first dump 7,000 crystals before you can get a single chance at a 20% pull. That's what it was.
Okay, you're right. That sucks ass.
What they should do right now is just like they introduced a new system, with the Gogeta and Broly banner, and no one fucking likes it. And I remember we got on a call with them literally like the the week after, and we were just like basically yelling at them, I mean, actually yelling at them, like, yo, what the fuck are you guys doing? Stop. And they're like, okay, well, let's bring back the free step. I'm like, no, you need to do more than that. You need to make it make sense. Like, number one, ticket summons, and I've been telling them this for months now, need to have higher rates of new units. Because right now, if you're a new player, the ticket banners are fantastic for you guys. Great, because you're basically getting free sparkings. If you do a whole step up, you get 4, 5, 6, whatever the actual tickets are, you get that many sparkings. If you've been playing the game for even a couple of months, you're not getting anything out of it. Well, you might be getting a couple stars, but in general, you're not getting anything out of it. The ticket summons need to have higher rates for the new unit. They need to have, like, instead of it being a 0.5%, it should be like 2% chance on the LFs, or maybe a 4% chance on like the newer units. You need to have a higher chance of getting units. Because at that point, if you have rates that make sense, no one's gonna care that they're doing monthly LFs. They're gonna want that. They're gonna want it. The reason why we get mad at them doing monthly LFs is because we know we're gonna have to go through the process of dumping in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 crystals to get nothing.
Yeah.
Never forget, it took me 2,000 crystals to get one copy of Super Vegito year one.
Holy shit.
Year one. People will talk about my crazy luck in my videos, but then they don't bring that up. I'm like, bro, 1,000 crystals. It was rough.
Like, did you just make several videos, or did you just cut out like the bulk of your summons?
I made a decent amount of videos because that was a very, very expensive week. And luckily, Legends wasn't as vast popularity at the time, so I made all that money back and more. So I didn't lose money out of it, but I still spent a lot of money trying to get one copy of Vegeta. You know what happened next? The next video, I pulled 3 more. So it took me 100,000 to get one, and then I got him to like 7 stars in the next 4 multis. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
But again, that's Legends for you. Like, you can have horrible luck, you have good luck.
That's showbiz, baby.
But the big thing with LFs is it's not that we hate LFs, is we hate summoning for LFs. And the game's giving you 10, 15, 20,000 crystals a month, depending on if there's a celebration or not. But does that really matter if the rates are god awful for these LFs that people are going after?
Yeah. No, that's a good point. And man, like, I'm not gonna lie, my mind is still a little bit blown at the whole concept of like how we were saying. I used to be like, oh no, if summon on the new banners, but I mean, you're right. Like, when I think about how much money I've wasted or time I've wasted grinding crystals to get nothing of value, when I could have just been like Zenkaiing the fuck out of my guys, like,
yeah,
that's a solid point, but
yep.
So
and we're hopping with a call with them again on Saturday. And again, the one thing I'm going to push for is like, look, you guys are dropping this rose banner. Like, okay, you guys been saying you're going to keep improving these step ups. We haven't really been seeing it since the initial extra 6 step, because they took that step away, the free multi step, and then they brought it back because we told them to. So it's like, just make it higher rates. Like, if you make it normal rates that make sense, I feel like people won't complain. I mean, people will still complain at the end of the day, but they won't be as upset.
Yeah. And that's cool that they take your feedback, because I know I've seen you talk on Twitter before how like people accuse content creators of like
never speaking out.
Yeah, and then I'm like of all people to get accused of that, like, why? Because I do see some people where I feel like they're like almost quote unquote like drinking the Kool-Aid, like things happen and are like blatantly shitty, and they're just like, oh man, this looks hype, and I'm like, you don't have to be like that. I'm not going to name any names or like anything like that, but like, so obviously, if any of this discussion gets to where like there's confidentiality, tell me to fuck off or whatever. But like, I mean, how often would you say you guys meet like with these people to go over this stuff?
Almost monthly. And like, it's not one of those things. I've seen a couple memes where it's like, Rhyme on Twitter, fuck Legends, Rhyme in these meetings. Hey, Toshi, good job. No, it's never like that. Like, I will because the thing is we have a good relationship with them where it's like, I can literally I'll tell you verbatim. Last call, I hopped on and said, I fucking hate Zenkais. Like, verbatim. Like, we have that relationship with them where we're talking with them like normal people. So like, they get everything that they need to know. Like, everything, every pain that we went through in the last couple of months, like, they know. And it's not like toned down. They get the full blunt of it, The last call, I don't remember what all I talked about. I just remember going off. I was going off for like a whole 20 minutes straight before I let anybody else talk. I mean, just like every issue with the game. Like, I'm like just letting it all out. I'm like, bro, because the thing is like, I'm not paid by Legends. I'm not paid by Bandai. I just like playing these games. But like, if you get to the point where you make the game that I'm playing like unfun and unenjoyable, it's like I don't want to play this game anymore. Like, please, like, do something. Fix. If you have the power to help fix the game, like, you're gonna do what you can.
Yeah. And
So,
that's
like,
a,
it's
go ahead.
super raw every single time when we talk about this.
No, and it's like, yeah, I never understood that angle of like, yeah, why would it be advantageous for you to like blow smoke up their ass and tell them that it's great? Because like you said, they
Yeah.
don't sign your checks, you know? Like, I mean, it's just like there's no reason for you to do that. You don't have anything to gain by doing that. You know what I mean? Like you
Hmm.
and you know, people always accuse like YouTubers of like getting specialized rates, and I'm like, no, like I'm just like, look, they don't need that. You know what I mean? It's just I don't know. It's all
One of the things that I've been actually pushing for the past year is creating like a content creator club for people where it's a bit easier to make content. And I remember
mhm.
telling him, I'm like, yo, Toshi, if you ever do that, I don't fucking want it. I don't want people to think, because the thing is I know we don't have any special treatment, but I will tell you this: there were a couple times we would hop on a call, and I'll be like, I just need to know, do you fuck with our accounts? Just let me know. Just wink once if you yes.
Right.
If they don't, they legally cannot do that. They
True.
can't.
That'd
But
be like
in
false
general,
advertising, I guess, in a way.
I always push little ideas. So like, if you do a content creator club, so like people can actually make content, that'd be kind of fun. Because like, imagine being able to like sign up. I think like Pokemon Masters does this, where they give you a certain amount of like gems every month, so you can make content. That'd be dope. You'll get so many people that want to make videos off of it, and it can help the game grow in the long run. But I personally would never accept it because number one, I'm in a position where I can buy my own crystals and not have to worry about that. And two, I don't want any connection to them thinking that I'm getting any kind of special treatment, because people already think that, people in the content creation scene for any gacha game already have higher rates and stuff like that, when in all reality it's all bullshit.
I mean, that would be really cool. It's kind of like the equivalent of like how, you know, especially like with indie games, indie game developers will be like, hey, big Mr. Big YouTuber, you know, who live streams to 300 people every night. Here's our game. You know, why don't you play this? We'll give you a free copy of the game, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
and you can play the game and kind of give us some exposure. I mean, it's kind of
Yeah.
it sounds shadier like in theory, but it's really not, because I mean it's already a free to play game. They're just like, hey, Mr. Big YouTuber with, you know, 300 concurrent viewers, here's like some in-game currency. Go spend this and have fun in the game. And, you know, I don't know.
My issue about that is because some mobile games do that. I've never
Hmm.
seen it happening in gacha games specifically, but some mobile games will be like, hey, we'll give you in-game, boosts, so you can have stuff like not like necessarily like rates, but like boosts in regards of getting like items like in-game currency, money, and stuff like that, stuff that helps you beat the events. And I think stuff like that is kind of trash, because at that point you're selling the wrong idea of the game. Because it's like,
Hmm.
if I accept, like, let's say a sponsorship of like StormPow, the gacha game, and you're like, hey, I'm gonna give you a 10,000 like stones. I'm gonna give you all these items to let you beat these events, so people can see you like power through these events. Because then people will just watch you play this and be like, oh, this is easy. Then they end up playing it like, yo, this is not what they advertise. That's why I'm
Yeah,
like, no, I'd rather play the game the same way everybody else does, because at that point you know what you're getting.
that is true. It's almost like the clickbait equivalent for video games, because it's like, you
Yeah.
know, you have a clickbait title, video doesn't live up to it. People are only going to watch like 40 seconds. So I guess it's the same thing with a game. You know, game looks
Mhm.
really cool. You download it, it sucks ass. They're not going to, you know, continue playing.
Yep.
So that's interesting though, and it's cool to think about like that whole concept. I don't like, and obviously you would know more than I, but like I don't foresee something like that happening in like Legends or Dokkan, just because, kind of like you've said, like the relationship with creators. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not like,
It's
you know,
it's very new to them still,
yeah.
and it comes down to they want to do stuff like this, but it's just a matter of convincing higher ups like, yo, this is a good idea. Because again, to the
Yeah.
higher ups, if they could remove all Dragon Ball YouTubers, they would have done it years ago. That's why we had to deal with so many like copyright issues over the course of the last couple of years. That's why I personally I don't do any, like, I don't use any forms of clips from the series. I don't use any like manga panels in my videos, because I
Mhm.
know they don't like that. I'll play the games that they release, because I know they're okay with that. They're somewhat okay with that, air quotes.
Yeah. At least they're not like how Nintendo is with like mods and stuff. Because the Xenoverse modding community, like the FighterZ modding community, I mean, the Kakarot, Jesus Christ, the Kakarot modding community is like nuts, you know. Whereas like with a lot of Nintendo
Mhm.
games, certain mods that they're just instantly like, nah, dude, cease and desist, get out of here, we're suing you, you know.
Yeah.
So that's at least good. Like they could be way worse,
Hmm.
but
I think they know that like modding exists for like Xenoverse, but they just
mhm.
don't like. As long as you're not modding and going online, which some people unfortunately do, they're like, kind of like let's just let them do this because it
Right.
doesn't cause any harm and it does promote the game. But then you get the people that literally will mod it and like ruin it for everybody. That's why they've been kind of stepping up their defense against modders in the like last couple of years. And that because that one person who's like 12 finds a way to hack and get those moves you're not supposed to have and one shot you, that ruins it for everybody else that's just trying to have fun with just cosmetics.
Yeah. And this is kind of a question I just now thought of, but like so you've been, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've been playing Dokkan and Legends both pretty much since they started, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So like where Dokkan was at about its 3-year mark, kind of comparing like to Legends, I guess this is a little bit of a two-parter. Like I mean, do you think community morale, because for reference, like I said, don't play Dokkan, and I've only been playing Legends for like not even quite a year. But anyway, do you think that like the Legends community, I guess, is doing good like time-wise, or like do you think that
Way
Legends
better.
can make it to like 6 years?
I mean, right now where Dokkan was at this point, it was a terrible time actually.
Really?
And I only remember this because I remember I quit on the 3-year anniversary.
Oh,
I didn't play
okay.
the game because they were just doing a lot of things bad with the game. And then that's when they started changing up and doing their new animation styles and they started
Mhm.
introducing more things that made the game more fun. Legends is like ages ahead where Dokkan was at this time. But to be fair, the reason why Legends is ahead is because it was essentially the same team at the time. So they kind of had the experience of knowing what not to do with Legends. But that doesn't mean that Legends is a perfect game. Legends still has
Right.
a long way to go in regards of like what to do with their game. The problem with Legends is they don't know what they want. The problem with Legends is it was a PvP based game that was introduced. PvP is the key. Guess
Mhm.
what? A lot of people that download this game that actually actively play do not touch PvP. They don't.
Yeah.
That's why they started focusing so much on PvE and doing more PvE content. That's why they released co-op. That's why they released all these modes like the Ultra Space Time Rush, stuff like that for PvE content. But then that makes the PvP players mad because they're like, all right, what about us? Shouldn't we have a focus on this? And then they go back to making PvP changes. And then it's like, well, what about us? PvE is mad. So it's like I don't think they know how to balance out both fan bases because I think they're both split.
Mhm.
I'll say right now, I think the PvE is dog shit. I'm on the PvP side. I'd rather play PvP hands
Yeah.
down because it's just more fun. Um,
Mm.
but again, I'm also in the minority. I know the majority of the player base, as they said in their past streams, are into the PvE aspect. And it's like if they don't make the PvE aspect of the game better, then they're gonna lose players. So it's like they're constantly like fighting this battle of what to improve on and what to release that like is more enjoyable for both sides.
I think my thing with a lot of the PvE in Legends is that like when the events come out, like the first battle of the event is like so incredibly well, and I say the first battle, the first like lot of them usually is like so
Mhm.
incredibly easy that like your character just one shots the enemies, and then all of a sudden they get to be like pretty challenging and all that stuff, and I feel like just like it's so hard for me to want to get into a new event because the first
Mhm.
maybe 20 battles I'm just leaving it on auto, because like it's just not even like an
Yeah.
enjoyable match,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I feel like if they could somehow make that more interesting, then I'd be more into it. Or like, I don't know, like if there was a way for them to be like at a certain point you can like skip ticket these early battles, even though you haven't actually beaten it. Like I would totally like use skip tickets towards that. I
One
don't
thing
know.
I know about Legends is, and this is something that people always ask, is people always say like other gacha games have way better like login bonuses. Like
Hmm.
other gacha games literally reward you for not playing their game. That's not what Legends wants to do. Legends actually wants you to play the game. That's why like when you log in every single day, you get that shitty bonus. It's like, all right, what do I want? I guess I'll take the
Hmm.
eraser. I'll take that. But whereas if you actually play, if you do stuff like adventures, you get more stuff. Their entire goal is to get people to play. Because if you end up just logging in and logging out, that's not the big goal.
Right.
And that's why a lot of times they always give you these like shitty like bonuses for just existing. But if you actually play, you get better ones.
That's a good point because like, yeah, I mean, getting like 10 crystals is like kind of cool or whatever. But I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, I guess that's it. You're right. It's not, the point is to just get on it. The point is to get on and like do your what you call it, the let's fight, like do all the stuff, because the
Mhm.
daily rewards are definitely built around like playing the game a little bit well rounded. Like I made a video
Yep.
on like kind of a daily grind of Legends, and like it basically is that, and it does. You can tell it's formatted towards you doing a little bit of everything, because normally I end up hopping in PvP to do the whole like get the Rising Rush, land the Rising Rush part of that, and it's like by the end of that, yeah, you've done pretty much everything. So that is unique. I've never really thought about that, but then again, I've only played a handful of gotchas, so
That's why, I mean, that's kind of like what I do every single day. I'll log in, I'll do my dailies, and then I'm like out until the big releases come out.
Yeah.
And I will say something I like about the mission, or I guess their battle pass equivalent, is it kind of encourages you to do a bit more. So I always do like the battle lower pass, which is the highest pass, where it requires you to play like PvP like 20 or 30 times a season. Yeah. I'll just do the bare minimum with that, and then I'm kind of done. But like whenever they release hype units that I'm excited for, like if they're to drop like a Hakai Beerus, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna play the fuck out of that game for like 2 months straight before I'm like, all right, I'm bored of it. But something that I want to also point out is it's very important to not like super over dedicate your life playing these gacha games or these mobile games. The thing is a lot of times people feel like they're forced to only play that game, and then they forget that other games exist. The reason why I don't get super drained playing Legends or Dokkan 3-6 years later is because it's not the only game that I play. And that's literally how I start my video tomorrow. I'm like, I've been wanting to make this rant video for the last 3 weeks, but guess what? I've been playing FighterZ. FighterZ has dropped Gogeta. He's hella fun to play. You know what I don't have issues with over there? Everything that Legends has. Like every time you play a game where there's something in it that you don't like, just for the love of God, take your phone, put it down, go play something else. And I'm not saying quit the game. I'm not telling you to fuck off. I'm literally just saying take a break. There's more to life than popping bubbles with Dokkan or playing Fruit Ninja and Legends. Put that down, go play something else. The second you come back to these games later when they have newer updates, you're going to enjoy it so much more, I guarantee it. And that's the problem. A lot of times people take these games so much too hard that that's all they play. And to be fair, sometimes people might only have those games. You might not have the access to consoles or other games. Maybe you only just have a phone, and that's why you only play those games, which is why you might get way more passionate than others, way more angry when it comes down to like the state of these games. I get that. But at the same time, you still got to know when to take a break, because otherwise you'll just end up being way too bitter when you play the games.
Yeah. No, and that's a good point, because like I know there for a while, like with the UI Goku and stuff, I was playing Legends a lot, because like the UI Goku videos were doing good on my channel, and like I was encouraging. Plus it was hype at that time too. Anyway, like I was genuinely enjoying it. But like here lately, I have kind of taken a step back, and like when I come back in, it's fun.
I want to talk about that because so one of the biggest complaints back in January was when they released LF Gohan, and what I noticed about any game, whether it be real games, on console games or PC games or mobile games or gacha games, whenever a community rallies around one like negative thing, that becomes like a talking topic for like the next couple weeks. Yeah, I remember in January the big talking topic was like 4 LFs in like 2 months. Are they in a fucking mind? Yes, that did happen, but we also just ignored literally their release schedule that they have for the past 2 years. Every November and Black Friday, they have a big celebration. This actually was not supposed to be originally a like an ongoing thing. They just dropped Goku Black for Black Friday, and then every single time from then on out, we just assumed that that's going to be like a Black Friday, like a Goku Black release type of thing. So they end up dropping, like they had that crazy release with UI Goku for last Black Friday, because that became like the celebration time. You know what happens 2 weeks, 3 weeks after Black Friday? Christmas.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not that they were just like, trying to bleed your wallets and like make you go crazy with all these releases. This has just been what's been going on in the game. We were already aware that was going to happen. Now, the reason why people complain is because it's like, oh, another LF? Are you serious? But at that point, we've already been at the situation where they're doing monthly LFs because they had kind of been working on their new release schedule for how they want to do stuff. And as I mentioned, it's Zenkai Banner, Zenkai Banner LF, Zenkai Banner, Zenkai Banner LF. That's kind of like how they want to balance it out. So it's like what you want to summon for is what you should. For love of God, do not summon on everything that comes out in the game. Do not Zenkai everything that comes out in the game. Focus only on one tag or one kind of like team or one like favorite kind of character and just wait for those. But if you're like literally just trying to do everything, these gacha games are not designed to support everything. Because again, the thing that keeps these games alive is the people that are spending money on it. And free to play players are important, but their big targets are always going to be the people that spend money. So the ones that actually try to like summon on everything are going to be their goal. But if you're like a casual or free to play player, you should only always summon on stuff that excites you. So if you're a big fan of Broly, Zenkai him. If you're a big fan of like Frieza, wait for the next LOE event. But by the time you get, with how many crystals they give out, by the time they release the next LF banner, you might have 50, 60, 70,000 crystals. I mean,
That's true.
mostly because they barely ever release LOE stuff, and GT's a joke. GT they haven't released literally in like a year plus. It's like poor GT, man.
Dude. But when they get Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta in Legends,
that's gonna be crazy.
Oh yeah.
There's been that one person that's been saving that's only been playing GT since the last GT banner and probably been saving their crystals. They probably have like 100,000 CCs waiting for Gogeta.
Oh god, that guy's gonna have him 7 stars on day 1.
I hope they do. Or they
He
might get one
deserves
copy like I did with Vegito.
No, like that. No, that's a good point, and I've learned that recently because like I think right around the time that I got into the game, it was Majin Vegeta, LF Majin Vegeta was out, and like I remember I pulled him kind of on accident. I didn't really know LFs were like that cool. I wanted like Regenerating Cell and Android 21, but I pulled Majin Vegeta instead, and I was like, oh shit, this is really hype. This unit's really good. Like everybody's telling me like, yeah, build your team around him. He's awesome. Blah blah blah. And then pretty much like a lot of the banners that came out last year, like between then and now, like they were really good, and I just kind of got into the habit of like every banner is like this huge deal, and then like here lately, like you said, like the Broly and DKP banner, like kind of meh, the Kid Buu banner, meh. And it's like, I've been having to like teach myself, hey, like, just because there's a new banner doesn't mean you have to do the summons and make a video, like,
And that's been something that, it's funny, like YouTubers will always say, yo, don't summon, but then they're just going around putting in 100,000 crystals into their videos. I'm like, bro, you got to price what you preach.
Yeah.
So what I always do is like, and again, if they want to do that, that's fine. A lot of times it is nice knowing that, if you're following the gacha game, if a YouTuber comes out and says, hey, if you want to go all in, go for it, but, don't. So having someone help you decide whether or not you want to summon is cool. But at the end of the day, I always just say, if you want to summon for something, go for it. With me, my rationale behind it is, if I'm excited about the characters, I'll do maybe a video on it.
Yeah.
If I'm super hyped about it, you're going to get like 2, maybe 3 videos out of it. But in general, I'm going to summon at least once. And if I don't care about the characters at all, well, it's a skip. I've skipped a couple banners in the last like year. And in general, I'll do like at least one, but I have skipped a couple.
Yeah. I mean, if I was in like if I was in a position of like, doing YouTube full time and making like good money from it, and like this was my, my thing, then I'd probably summon on every single banner. But sometimes I'm just like, look, like channel at my size, I'm like, I'm gonna dump like a good amount of money into this banner, maybe not even pull the character, make a video, and that's gonna get me a not even a fraction of it back. I'm like, I don't want to do that. But like, I mean, yeah, that's true too. A lot of times, people will do it for the content's sake because they can, but at the same time they're going around like talking shit about the banner, and it's like, you can kind of only do one or the other,
Yeah.
I always
saw Sawada said the glaring issue that Japan doesn't like GT. That's not what it is. I just know in general the GT banners, they don't do as well. They're not as popular, as crazy as it sounds. But in GT's defense, we have not had a GT LF yet. I guarantee you, when we get Gogeta, he's most likely going to be an LF. And by the way, I don't know anything. I wanna stress that I have no clue what the fuck they're doing. People always think because I've been involved in a couple releases in the past, I know everything they're doing. I have no clue. Obviously, I was part of the battle hour, so I knew that Rose was coming. And I was also part of the reveal for Gogeta and Broly, so I knew that was coming. But outside of the stuff that I'm in, I have no clue what's coming out. I guarantee you, when Gogeta Super Saiyan 4 comes out, he's most likely going to be an LF, and it's going to bang. Because the thing is the problem with the GT units that they released in the past year is they were all boring.
Yeah.
Like, for the most part, they kind of had ultimates, but they were all boring units, and that's the problem. It's not the fact that the GT banners didn't sell that well, or they didn't do that well. People didn't really summon on them. It's just they were boring units, at least in my opinion, for what they should have been doing with GT. But the second they give you something like a transforming Super Saiyan 4 Goku, when they give you these crazy like animations for the ultimates, or LF Super Saiyan 4 Goku, LF Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, and Gogeta, I'm telling you, those are all going to bang. And GT is going to start getting love again.
Yeah, and hopefully the success of like Super Baby and Gogeta in Fighters maybe has shown them like, all right, this can be really hype if we do it right.
No, they know the characters are definitely loved out here in the West. It's just they honestly they have to deliver. That's what it is. They have to deliver.
Yeah. Which that kind of brings me to the next little set of topics. So I I've watched a little bit of your stuff here on Gogeta, but like overall, you know, I'm actually pull up one of your recent gameplays that you did of him just kind of to have in the background here. But I mean,
Mhm.
overall, you know, I've not gotten to play it a whole lot, and honestly, you're a much bigger fighters player than I am. I mean, what are your thoughts so far on Gogeta? Like, I know everybody's like, "Oh, he's busted because of the you know
He's
Kamehameha."
balanced. He's balanced. He's balanced. Look, no one's gonna admit this from the casual side. He's
Uh-huh.
fucking balanced. Every YouTuber that's saying he's broken, look, when you use the word broken in the title, it bangs. It's like a cheat code, number one.
Yeah.
But yes, the Big Bang Kamehameha is very, very powerful. If you pull it off, it's going to hurt. And that's you. That's me playing against a pro, by the way. And I'm upset because in that same video, so what we did is we did it with our A assists in our first two fights, and then the last two fights were just us fighting with B assists. The first two
Mhm.
fights were all focused around building that level 7 and pulling it off. And I'm mad because I built the level 7 first, and then my stupid ass, instead of hitting R2, I hit R1. So I did the normal Big Bang and I wasted it. I'm like,
Ooh.
that would have been so dumb to pull off.
Yeah.
But the thing about Gogeta is he's actually very balanced. He's new. People don't know how to play him. You know, a lot of people were saying like, "Oh, well, Dado already proved that the level 7 was broken." I'm like, yeah, but I also watched the video. Everybody that fought someone like Dado, they were afraid.
Mhm.
No, look, look, I'm gonna give you a tip. If you play fighters and you see Gogeta on the other team with the A assist, for love of God, immediately tag him in and kill him. If you don't, every single time they do that assist, they're just gonna build the bar and you're just gonna melt. But if you play with the B assist, you're not going to have that much time to really build up the level 7, because what's going to happen is every time you get the knockdown, you'll probably try to get the taunt off, but by
Mhm.
the time you get to level 7, the character that you're fighting is going to be dead. Now, granted, you could use it on the last character remaining, but at the same time, if you make those mistakes where you're just trying to taunt the whole time, you're going to lose the character as well.
God. But he's just such a flashy character though. I love it. It would be hard to not just like taunt and fuck around, you know, but man.
Yeah, no, it's two different play styles. If you see A assist, they're gonna try to do it the whole time. If they
Mhm.
play a B assist, they're gonna play normally. I think B assist is way better, to be honest, just because it's an actual assist. And honestly, the C assist is dope too because it also gets a drag ball every single time, so you can also try to like abuse the drag ball mechanic.
Mhm.
But in general, he's a very, very balanced character, and I honestly don't know if people are going to be playing that character on a well, we don't know yet because it's still technically the first week, but I don't
Right.
think we're gonna see his character as often as someone like Z Broly or Android 21 or Kid Buu in like the pro side of things. But that's fine. Pros play differently. You know, the average casual, even the average hardcore player is a big fan of Gogeta right now, so you're gonna see him a lot in the actual game.
Yeah. Where
But
so
he is balanced. For love of God, he is very, very balanced. You gotta ignore the fact that he has attacked the one shots. You just gotta know the matchup. And a lot of people at the time, they don't want to learn matchups, so they just basically scream on Twitter and
Mhm.
social media and comments for nerfs. And I'm like, no, learn the matchup. Once you learn the matchup, the character is a lot easier to deal with.
People are afraid of him because I suck at fighters. Like and I started playing as Gogeta and I had him at the beginning and people were literally like kind of like playing like super defensive, you know, whereas I'm like, no dude, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You can still easily whoop my ass. You know
And
what I
see,
mean?
even right there, you just saw. I don't know how far you are in the delay, but even right there, you just saw him miss the Big Bang.
Mhm.
Like
It
you can
can
still
happen.
definitely, yeah. Like, and this is a professional, by the way. This is a pro. I'm not talking about like he's a good player. No, he's an actual pro that like wins tournaments. Like, he is good. Like, the character is very, very balanced in regards to what to do with him, but he does have those crazy gimmicks that can change the game if you pull him off. You just can't be afraid of him. Again, you see A assist and Gogeta, tag him in, just kill him. And if you even just B assist or C assist, tag him in and still kill him, because his
Mhm.
neutral actually is kind of trash. Like, he has no long range options.
Yeah.
So like, if you have like any beam based characters, especially, you should be able to just take them out no problem.
I'm trying to go back in the video to like the beginning, I guess, where I could see your team because I was trying to remember. I was like, where did you guys like where do you think he goes best on a team? Like point or anchor or
Mid,
mid?
definitely mid.
Really?
Definitely mid. I don't think he's that good on point or on anchor.
Uh-huh.
Definitely mid, because if you're on point, he like I said, he lacks long range options, which is going to definitely hurt you.
Mhm.
And if again, once this first week passes and people realize how to fight him, he's going to be hurting a lot in that department.
Okay. Gotcha. Cuz yeah, I am really curious because right now he does feel like, oh my God, this is like a literal game changer. But I mean, yeah, I'm curious now to see, like, you know, in the coming weeks if we don't see him. Because obviously, yeah, like Z Broly, I run Z Broly just because, again, I'm not very good at Z Broly. Like anybody can play
Yeah.
characters like that. And I don't think he's quite at that point where like anybody can play him. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, anybody can, but like to actually play him effectively, like there's definitely some sort of,
Yeah.
you know, skill that goes into it.
Yep.
And I think that's what differentiates it from, you know, other characters like, you know, your Z Broly and your Kid Buu. Anybody can play those characters. Now definitely
Yep.
there's a difference between me and a pro playing it, but like I feel like there are some characters that are just stupidly like right out the box just
UI was very, very good.
Yes.
UI just got recently nerfed, and he's still top tier.
God.
It's funny, like people in the past week are like, UI's dead, he's gone. Ding dong, the witch is dead. No, he's not. He he is still up there. He lost a couple things that did make him a bit cheap, but he's still very, very good.
Yeah. I mean,
and again, the problem is no one ever wants to learn the matchup because it's so much easier to go on social media and scream for nerfs instead of just like, you know, learning to deal with the character. Because the thing is the way I see it is I've never had a problem with a UI Goku, and you might say, oh well, you just fought scrubs. No, I fought pros. I fought literally against pros that know how to use every cheap aspect of this character. I never ever had a problem dealing with UI Goku. Yeah, they've beaten me before too, but I've beaten them. I know how to deal with UI Goku because the thing about UI Goku is he's very predictable, and if you're on the lower rank levels, you know exactly how a UI Goku player is always going to be, and that's just knowing the matchup. That's all you got to do is know the matchup.
That's never really thought about it. That's simple.
Exactly. Well, he didn't get buffed, but his DP changing to scale differently. Yes, if you get overheaded and you pull it off, you can kill a character off of it. Like he is still very, very good.
God, just watching this makes me want to play FighterZ like as soon as we're done with this because it's just like I'm just like that game. Even like as somebody who's not very like it's such a just satisfying game to play. Like when you get your ass handed to you, you're just like, you know, fuck this. But then like when you actually, you know, like win or do something cool, it is like so satisfying.
Yeah, it's never your fault. Like, the thing is you play Xenoverse, you got those issues where it's like, well, I lost that because the netcode lagged or because they literally have a busted character. In FighterZ, you lost because you didn't block. And one of the most common things I see online is like, what's the point of even playing this if people just kill you online like this? Because like, you know, I'll post like TOD comments all the time on Twitter, and it's like, number one, TODs are very, very situational. If you're in the perfect position where you're on that side of the map or you just don't block low, you let me hit you with a slow ass 2M, you're going to die for it. And the average competent player knows to block low. They're not just going to sit there and wait for it. So like if you're getting hit by TODs all the time, you got to look at your play style and know, okay, let me do this less. Because people always ask me like, how do I get better at FighterZ? The answer is see what you mess up on and do that less.
I can vouch for that 100% because I'm still garbage, but I used to be like absolute 1000% hot ass, like did not even know like at all what to do. And the two things that help me at least get to like where I feel like I have like some sort of foundation is A, like you said, just playing it and like kind of being like, all right, you know, this is where I'm always like getting my ass kicked, or like I would watch other people and see what they're doing differently, you know, like especially the people that are whooping my ass, and also sticking to one team primarily because I kept trying to like switch up my like characters and stuff, you know, like I would build a team, play like 2 matches, and I'd be like, oh, I got my shit pushed in, this team sucks, and it's like not necessarily, you just, you know, need to put a little bit of thought into making the team, but ultimately like I feel like you can make most teams work. You just got to like get good and get familiar with them.
Yep.
But so do you think that FighterZ is going to have another season after this?
I don't know. With as big as the Dragon Ball event was, I was expecting them to announce a season 4 at the end of it, and when they didn't, I'm like, oh, because like usually, you know, when they got to these end of these major events, they always had some kind of crazy announcement. But the problem is right now we're in a situation with the pandemic, so we haven't even had any major tournaments in the past year. Everything that they did was all online, which has been an issue in itself. So I don't know. I think they're still working on more content because there's definitely more stuff that they can do. And again, end of the day, it's all about pushing the brand. I'm sure with everything to build up with Dragon Ball FighterZ, they're not ready to end that yet. So maybe once the pandemic calms down, we all get vaccinated and stuff like that, they'll start, you know, doing more in-game, like more offline events. And maybe at the next, like maybe for all we know, at the end of the year, they'll announce a big major tournament that they'll bring all the pro players back for. They'll do the biggest event, and they're going to announce they'll announce like season 4 at the end of it or something like that. That could absolutely happen.
Yeah, like because I agree. Like FighterZ, I feel like is I don't know, very far from like a downhill decline, you know, and
Yeah.
the community's so hype. And I mean, there's still plenty of room in the roster. There's still plenty of
Mhm.
characters that we've not seen yet. So like they very easily could. What I almost see happening is before we get like a Fighters 2 or like another iteration of it or anything, like I could see another season for one, just because, like I said, there's so many characters and I feel like the game still has like quite a bit of life left in it.
Mhm.
But I could almost see like an official like next gen version of it. You know, like obviously it's still like cross plays
Yeah.
with the other stuff, but I feel like I could see like an official PS5 version and you know, with like just some updated visuals and performance and stuff, you know?
Yeah, no, I can definitely see something like that too.
Like I don't know. I'm just like I think we're far
I mean,
from
look,
the end.
Xenoverse came out in 2015, and they're still promoting it. And people are still playing it. I don't think FighterZ is on its way out yet.
Oh god, yeah. And I mean, I don't know the stats or anything, but just like community wise, I feel like Fighters is way more active. Even though Xenoverse, as we discussed, is not dead, but you know,
Yeah.
I don't know. So kind of, you know, I guess speaking of Xenoverse, now with the recent DLC and everything, what I know obviously, I mean it's cool you're wearing your Hakai hoodie because you know we're getting God of Destruction top and everything. Like I think that's gonna be hype. I mean, what are your thoughts so far on I guess Xenoverse right now with the DLC coming out?
Xenoverse, it's funny. I have such a love-hate relationship with that game. I love Xenoverse until I play it. And the reason why is because I'm spoiled, you know.
Yeah.
I've been wanting a game like Fighters for literally as long as I remember, and I got that, and I've been playing that more than anything. And I do love going back to Fighters every now. Oh no, I love going back to Xenoverse every now and then. But then I get into that one match where you literally lose because you get punched from halfway across the map because the net code is so desynced,
Mm-hmm.
and that shit just makes me put the controller down. I think the last time I played Xenoverse was maybe like 2-3 months ago.
Oh wow.
I am going to come back for this because I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited for PyCon. As much as I don't care about Tapo, I think it's cool that he's in the game. But I'm mostly excited to see what kind of character, like what kind of moves he's going to give for our custom created characters. And if he does give us a Hakai, you know, I got to play with that. I'm excited. Look, I like the fact that they're still pushing more content for Xenoverse. And the big misconception a lot of people think is because they keep pushing Xenoverse 2, there's no Xenoverse 3. That's not how this works. Either, I mean, at this point, they're probably already decided they don't want to do a Xenoverse 3.
Yeah.
So it's either it would have been Xenoverse 2 ended years ago and there's no Xenoverse 3, or we got Xenoverse 2 DLC still and there's still no Xenoverse 3. So it's like, what do you want? Would you rather have updates to this game or nothing?
Yeah.
Again, the problem is a lot of people think because they keep promoting this game, that's why they're not releasing the sequel. Honestly, my theory is because at this point it's been long enough. I think they're working on like another brand new title because knowing their release schedule, they would have dropped Xenoverse 3 like 2 years ago or a year ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Mean, and for all you know, they might drop the next game and call it Xenoverse 3, and it's not Xenoverse 2 or like a sequel to it, which I would not mind that because if you take everything that was good in Xenoverse and make it into the next game and actually make it with proper online, that's going to be fantastic. I'm more for that than anything.
Mm-hmm. No, and yeah, I agree because it's like, I mean, you know what? I'm gonna Google it right now because it's like, let me see. I'm curious what the release date difference was between Xenoverse 1 and 2. So Xenoverse,
it was roughly a year.
I was like, holy crap, Xenoverse 1 came out in 2015. Like,
yeah, and then Xenoverse 2 in 2016. It was that far apart.
Yeah, no, I think you're 100% right.
When they announced 2, we were all just like, wait, already? Like, huh?
Yeah.
Because I remember at the time we were thinking of like, yo, when Xenoverse 2 drops, it's gonna be so fire in like 2 years. Oh, they announced it. Great, I'm here for this. But it was needed because once you played 2 compared to 1, it's night and day. Yeah. It was night and day, and everything that 2 gave was just fantastic.
I just looked up Raging Blast 1 and 2. It was 2009 and 2010, which I'm gonna go cry myself to sleep because I'm old, but like, yeah, 1 year apart, and that makes a good point. Like, I do feel like you're right. If they were going, like, I definitely think that they're gonna keep like an arena style fighter like in the Dragon Ball mix, you know, just because that's been a staple. But yeah, I feel like if they were gonna make a Xenoverse 3, it would have been like, all right, hey, Xenoverse 2 came out, and there are like exactly like what they did with Xenoverse 1. They're like, we like this formula, but there's enough changes that we'd like to make that it warrants more than just like a big patch or a big update. Let's make a sequel. Whereas now it's like they're like, all right, Xenoverse 2 is essentially where we'd probably like the Xenoverse franchise to stay. You know, like, I mean, barring like a few little updates here and there. But yeah, I feel like yeah, the next arena fighter would be just completely balls ass separate. But then again,
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't make games, so
I mean, I'm down for them to do something different because again, it's risky because it could be absolutely ass,
yeah.
or it could be fantastic. And I mean, with the data that they've gotten from fighters and from Xenoverse, they could make the next Arena Fighter be very, very good. It could be even
Hmm.
on the more competitive side where they make it actually balanced. And there's a lot that they can do with it. It's easy to pick up and actually you can get good at it and make it with a proper online. And if they do that, the next Dragon Ball game will be the best one of all time.
Yeah. No, in theory, yeah, it just keeps on getting better and better, and that's what I feel like we haven't had like a hot garbage like Dragon Ball game in a while, you know, and that's
Yeah.
I'm almost like we're overdue, and that scares me for the next
And
one.
yes, same. I mean, for all you know, the next one could be something super experimental. It's gonna be all like, but why though?
Because Kakarot had its flaws, like we said, it's a little boring, you know, but it was very ambitious and very different, and it didn't suck. You know, people will say what they want to, but
One of my favorite critiques about Kakarot is when Xenos was coming out, so many people were complaining that they were not releasing games that just let you just relive the Dragon Ball story.
mhm,
Because we had gotten that so much. You know, so when they went to Xenoverse, they gave us like the what if, side of Dragon
yeah,
Ball. And then when they finally were like, all right, fine, if you want to replay Dragon Ball, we got you. They dropped Kakarot, and there were so many people complaining that they were doing that. I'm like, what do you want?
yeah. I know. And like it did a good job. Like I always say that Kakarot is like the game that I wish I had growing up as a kid, you know.
Yeah,
Like
same.
to get to just run around the Dragon Ball world and like see the story like that. Like as an adult, I was kind of like, this is mid, you know, like this is boring, kind of like the gameplay's a little boring. The RPG aspects aren't as fleshed out as I would have liked.
Bones. It was like boneless. It was a boneless RPG.
Yeah, but like as a kid, oh my god, I'd have been jumping up and down for that. So like I totally get the hype around it, you know. But that kind of reminds me. So with the world flight that we got, that whole thing.
Mhm.
I don't know, and I may have missed this, so feel free to like chime in on that. Did we ever get any clarification on what exactly this is?
World Flight was supposed to be like their filler in between the different things that they were doing
Mm-hmm.
for the Dragon Ball Hour. It was just supposed to be like this little thing that just played and you just basically flew through the Dragon Ball world. I mean, I thought the concept was cool. It was a nice little trailer video put together. You lived through a Dragon Ball story in like what is that 5 minutes?
Yeah,
But the problem was with us watching the entire Dragon Ball Hour the entire day and seeing this clip every hour, it got so redundant.
dude.
That's a problem.
We were in the chat like every time that this came up on my stream when I was streaming it. Like we started like basically equating it to like Rickrolling. We were like, oh man, we're about to get Nimbus.
Here we go. Yep.
Especially since like the first time they played it, it was kind of like how I mentioned the CGI intro. They played like up until like this point or something like that. They played up until like launch and then they stopped. And then the next time they played it, they went a little further. So I was like, ooh, like, oh, this is gonna finally lead up to something, you know, really wild. But no, it was just because that time they only needed like a minute and a half of filler. The next time they needed like the whole 5 minutes. You know.
I think what they were trying to do is if you saw like the 100 Kamehameha thing, they were showing all like 100 every like couple hours, but then they messed up and they actually played the entire thing the first time. It was just supposed to be like the Dragon Ball story, just kind of like summarized, and they did it through the flight, and then they also did like the Kamehameha thing.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. I never actually realized the parallels between the 100 Kamehameha thing and this. You're right though. They did kind of both highlight through like the Dragon Ball story. But I know I can't be alone in this, but like I got hype. Like, is this a VR game or something? You know?
Right.
But like I also had war flashbacks to DBZ Connect, and like when he raised his arm up, I'm like, oh god, no.
Yeah, as the Dragon Ball community, we tend to overread things because I know when they were doing the mosaic, a lot of people in the Legends community thought that they were going to actually reveal a Legends card that was coming out at the end. And I remember I hopped in the 5-9 gaming call and they're like, "Oh, what do you think it's going to be?" I'm like, "Oh no, that's Goku from Dokkan. That's like not from Dokkan, but from like the iconic pose he's been doing the Kamehameha. He's also in Legends and Dokkan." And they're like, "Oh, well, they're not going to do like a reveal." I'm like, "No, this is just for fun. We're overthinking it."
Yeah, and then sure enough, like it was right at about like the little bit more than halfway mark. Yeah, I remember in my stream I watched it and I was just like, "Holy shit, that's Blue EX Goku," you know? And then like I was like, maybe, and then I pulled it up. And I was like, I put it next to it on the screen, and I'm just like, nope, that is 100%. Like, that's all it is, you know?
Yep.
But, yeah, I mean, that was cool. It did turn out really rad, but I was just like, yeah. I guess, yeah, especially with it being the first one, nobody knew what was going on. I was expecting anything.
we super overthink stuff. I mean, don't forget, we thought, well, not we, but some people, when they announced Kid Buu was coming out, some people went super deep into figuring out what that picture was that they posted on Legends Twitter, and they're like, "Oh,
Oh
Garlic
yeah.
Jr.'s coming out," and I'm like, "What? What kind of stretch is this?
Yeah.
Kid Buu, you are number one. It's Vegeta and Kid Buu."
Yeah. Yeah, people love reaching on some of those things, you know, which they've gotten better about those because I've only been in the Legends community for like a year, but they posted
Mhm.
in the whatchamacallit, the fuck the little the thing in the battle hour, it was the quiz, you know, and they showed like the picture of like the ice cream or whatever that was like
Yeah,
blue and
yeah,
red.
yep.
And I'm just like, all right, I'm really bad at these type of things, but like instantly like knew what that was, you know, yeah,
Yep.
they've gotten a lot better and made them a little bit harder, I feel like.
Mhm. Never
uh,
forget the one where they did the math problem that ended up being was it Super 17?
I think
They
so.
messed it was like the square root of 17 or like 30. I don't remember. That one was like kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, man, me and math. No, no, thank you. I'll just wait to find out what it is.
Yeah.
um, So still with Kakarot and everything, with the new DLC going on, I'm curious, like, what were your thoughts on the DLC? Like, not even just like necessarily what we saw, but just the fact that it's future Gohan. I mean,
I'm excited for it. You know, like the thing about Kakarot people don't realize it's the Dragon Ball Z story. So, you know, I've
mhm,
been seeing people be like, oh, is it going to go into Super? Is it going to be Super DLC? No, probably not. If they ever do that, it's going to be a separate game. We know how Bandai works.
yeah,
So it's like, what were they gonna do for DLC 3? Part of me thought like, what if they do like a complete like a what if scenario, so maybe something that fills in the gaps what we don't know. And I didn't even think about the possibility of being, you know, like the history of Trunks. Maybe it could have been like the episode of Bardock as well. But
mhm,
seeing the Trunks thing hyped me up. I love the history of Trunks. I love that special, and being able to like play through that and potentially seeing more stuff that kind of like that we didn't know about, which Kakarot has shown us, will be dope. I'm hyped for it. I'm super here for that.
yeah.
In the universe where Goku died, like, are you kidding me? That's fire. I'm down for that.
As you said, that's fire. The part of the trailer came up where the buildings caught on fire. I'm like, damn, you spoke it into existence there. No, like I'm hyping. I'm a sucker for time travel stories in general. So like obviously,
Yep.
like I'm very nostalgic with like future Trunks and everything. But I was surprised, not necessarily disappointed, but surprised that they went with this of all routes because like it did seem like with the other DLCs they were kind of like going into the beginning parts of Super, and so like I'm almost curious if there's gonna be like another season of Dragon Ball DLC,
Yeah.
and like they're doing this just to establish the future Trunks timeline, so that way when they like
No.
if they do Goku
So
Black, I don't know.
no, I doubt that they would. I think it's done after this, and if they do a sequel, it will be called probably Dragon Ball Super Kakarot or something. I don't
Yeah,
know. But like the thing that people forgot is DLC 1 and DLC 2 were Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods and Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F,
yeah.
which became Super later.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that's why I was like, all right, where are they gonna go with DLC 3? What are they gonna do? Are they gonna do something different and unique, like an extra side story that they haven't really like done before?
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I didn't think they want to. I didn't even think about History of Trunks, but that's dope. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's a good point too. And I think one thing that I have to remind myself of a lot, and definitely a lot of people currently in the community may not remember, is there were a lot of games back in the day that only went to the Cell Saga, you know, and
Mhm.
I feel like there may be a certain era of Dragon Ball Super games that we get that have like, you know, the first couple sagas and end at Tournament of Power, you know, like because
Mhm.
obviously, you know, assuming we get the rest of the anime, which I feel like we will eventually, but you know, who knows, you know, Rona and everything slowing everything down. Um,
Mhm.
like it'll be a while before like say the Moro arc is done in the anime and all that. And then it'll be even longer until we see it adapted in
If
games.
we even get that,
Yeah.
if we even get that,
Exactly. Do you feel like we may or may not get
I
that?
honestly don't think we will. Again, they would have already done it by now.
Yeah.
Because like even before the Rona happened, it was just like, where are we going with it? I honestly don't think that the series has come back.
Really?
Unless they do like movies. Like I can see them doing like a movie format. Maybe they drop like a movie for Moro or they do something completely different. But I don't know. I don't when Nozawa ended Battle
Mhm.
Hour, I was expecting to say I'm back, and she did. And I'm like, all right, well, all right. I guess we're back to 80. I don't think the series has come back, to be honest.
Yeah, I know when she showed up at the end of the battle hour, I did the same thing. I was like, oh my god, here we go. This is what we waited up for.
Something else to point out is Nozawa she's old. She's like 84 right now.
That is true.
So it's like, and I know how Japan like thinks. It's they probably God forbid if anything ever happened to Nozawa, I don't think they would even replace her.
Yeah. And does she voice any other characters in the show other than Goku or?
Off the top of the head, I don't know. I know she does Goten, I want to say. Maybe Gohan as well, right? I don't remember, to be honest, off the top of the head.
But yeah, because that's a good point. I didn't even really think about it like that. But yeah, it's kind of like that. Obviously, and you know, the manga is not going in any direction of like steering the main focus away from Goku. I don't think they would ever do that anyway. You know, like I think that they would sooner end the like Dragon Ball, maybe call it something else, you know, start like another series or something like that if they were to change, like keep it in the same universe. But also Dragon Ball does have like quite a bit of other stuff going on. Like
the other thing, they don't have to. That's the thing.
Yeah.
The Dragon Ball IP is so powerful. I mean, even before Super came back, they were still making shit ton of money off the games. Like
true.
Dragon Ball Z was so powerful that even with, you know, from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z to GT to all the extended stuff that came from it, that was so powerful that they were printing money decades after the series ended. Think about that. And I think they realized that. I think one of the reasons why they brought Super back even in the first place was just because they're like, you know what, let's just do this, because why not?
I just Googled this right now, and you're right. So the air date of the last episode of Dragon Ball Z, you know, like with Oob and everything, that was January 31st, 1996.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Dragon Ball Z games were still a thing. I mean, years later.
What GT ended like what, 98? I want to say, if I recall correctly.
Probably that sounds right. Hold up, because
that's when
97
Final Bout came out. 97. That's when Final Bout came out. So like, even without an anime, the series was still thriving. Like, I mean, their big focus could even be Dragon Ball Heroes, to push the Dragon Ball Heroes brand in Japan. Like, they could do all that. I feel like they don't need the anime to do this stuff, to make money. They like, again, as weird as it sounds, money is not their big focus. I mean, obviously it's a bonus because it's a business at the end of the day, but like they can do anything Dragon Ball related and it's going to print.
That is true. That is true. And I never even really like thought about the age in Izawa and just kind of in general. Yeah, like I guess I just always assumed, yeah, like they would, but I mean there's decent reasons to believe otherwise.
Yeah. And
So,
yes, also Bardock, that's who it was. I knew it was one more, and Bardock is another one that she voices.
That makes sense. And I do think, yeah, the movie format might be cool because DBS Broly fucking slapped, you know?
Great. Yeah, that was a great. I'd rather get a drama movie once every like couple years than an anime, because like,
yeah,
then you can go all out and just like make it a banger.
Exactly. Like
there were definitely times in Super where you're watching, you're just like, oh my god.
I was like, this is boring. But yeah, no, and especially like, you know, a little bit more time, theaters start opening up, like, you know, the big theatrical releases, that would be awesome to go do that, you know, and see like the Moro arc all in movie, you know, blah blah blah, this and that. But that would be cool. So I think this is the last like main thing that I had really that I wanted to talk about, and I meant to talk about it earlier, but we got kind of like onto some other stuff. So real quick, and again, you know, to preface, I'm not a huge Dokkan guy at all. I mean, I say huge as if I have like any semblance of Dokkan, but what are your thoughts on the Pettan battle thing? You know, like, I mean, some people are saying it's April Fool's, some people are very vehement against that.
Pettan battle is adventures from Legends. That's what it is. So it's basically just gathering whatever to give you in the game, which is funny because a lot of people always hated adventures, but I feel like they hated it for the wrong reasons. The reason why people hated adventures in Legends is because we all didn't like how adventures worked. Adventures were improved to the point where now it's great. You know, I do my adventures on a 7-hour ones every time I log in. So I get the 23-hour and the 7-hour ones. You basically get the